What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a ton to cover in a short amount of time, so stick around. We're going to talk about, of course, Elon and all of the other distractions that are taking our attention away from what is really important. We'll be right back with what that is in just a moment. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a ton to go over. So if you are new here, remember you can always get notifications over on marfooglenews.com, and you can also get our bibliography. If we show you a tweet, a video, a picture, a document, an article on this show, it will all be over on marfooglenews.com. Now, when you go there, it's very easy to navigate. It is all done by thumbnail. You'll look for look over here. We don't talk about Elon. No. And then, of course, once you click on that, you'll see that we have a full bibliography of all of our sources. That way you know exactly where this information is coming from, which today not a lot of people end up doing. They just say, hey, I heard this somewhere, and then they tell you this is fact. We make sure that we give you the access to that, so then you know exactly where we're getting these ideas. So now, lot to go over today. Remember, once you hit a yellow bar there, that is web-only content. That's the stuff that's too hot for TV, basically too far to one direction for us to cover and stay neutral, or the stuff that just causes non-stop arguing between people. That stuff is all down there. So very important things down there. Again, that is a great resource for all of the news put into one place. In fact, every single show every day has really the last 24 hours of news gathered from 40, 50 sources put into one place. So lots of work goes into that. Make sure to utilize that. And then if you do want to support the work we do, you can always get any of the affiliate products that we support. Any of the affiliate products over on the right are basically things that we think will either help you save your life or make your life better, or again, make your life more convenient. Again, all of that stuff over there is not only at usually a discount, but it will also help us here at the channel. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So we'll get right into it. We have, of course, giant claw marks on Mars spotted by European spacecraft, but there's a simple explanation. There always is. It says, strange patterns spotted on the surface of Mars look like claw marks left by a cosmic kitty. It says the crisscrossing grooves were captured by the European Space Agency's Mars Express orbiter and recently shared online. So I'll show you a picture of what they said they caught here in a second. It says they've been compared to scratch marks, and they are part of a huge fault system on Mars known as the Tantalus Fossé. So this is apparently what they were talking about. And when I saw it, I said, who's actually saying that this looks abnormal? Now, Dex, is there any other photos out there that we don't know about that look crazier? Because this looks kind of natural. Out of all the things I've seen on Mars that do look like weird, objects and stuff, it almost sounds, like they're kind of stretching on this one.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else that we don't know about, but this is the picture that apparently they're making a big deal about. Of course, there's a simple explanation, as they say, but it does look a little interesting. But at the same time, I guess, because it's from another planet, right?
To me, it looks like it kind of looks like underwater here when waves crash or different rock formations. This looks like the side of a rock. I would be more interested in the big old crater right there and the history of that rather than all of these different claw marks. Like, I don't even see how they're seeing claw marks. Maybe there's a different picture out there that I don't know about, but all of the articles that are talking about this show this picture. So what do you think about it? Do you think that it says that is very natural, says Pambeth? Literally, they make news out of anything. Craig DeHunter says sandstone. Yes, exactly. It doesn't look like anything crazy. And by the way, there are crazy things on Mars, or at least they've shown us stuff that looks crazy. This doesn't look crazy whatsoever. So maybe it was a slow news day at the palace. I think it's kind of crazy that this crater has kind of a double crater. It has a little kind of knot in the middle, and then out further. That probably has a more interesting story than whatever this is. But I don't know the size of this. Is this the size of New York, or is it the size of, a backyard pool or something? I don't know. And then best photograph of a UFO ever taken, released by researchers over remote lake. It says a new high-resolution print of what has been called, quote, the most convincing UFO photo ever has been released 50 years after it was taken. It says aerial photographer Sergio Loaiza was using a 100-pound map-making camera as he flew over Costa Rica on a mission to survey land ahead of a construction of a hydroelectric project near the Arenal volcano in South American country's northern highlands. It says that as he flew over the Lake Cote at an altitude of 10,000 feet, Loaiza took multiple high-resolution black and white photos of the lake and surrounding lake rainforest at 20-second intervals. In one frame, time-stamped at 8:25 a.m., a shiny metallic disc, a classic alien flying saucer, can apparently be seen flying between Loaiza's twin-engined Aero Commander F-680 aircraft on the ground. So by the way, this is way better than the as far as the Mars shot here. Now, what I don't get is if it was done at 20-second intervals, what was the shutter speed? Obviously, it was fast since nothing else is blurred, and they're moving in a plane. So they got this kind of frozen object. The one thing that I could think of, and I'll try to zoom in as much as I can on this, is that it almost looks like that it could be something spinning, or I've seen photos where they say it's a saucer or they say it's one thing and it ends up being kind of a thermal image of a propeller or something that gives the idea that it's something crazy, but it's actually not, and there's a simple explanation. In fact, mainstream news has put out photos that YouTubers have actually debunked. People that know the basics about thermal imaging have debunked some of the craziest, most famous pictures just by simple stuff. Now, this was 50 years ago, so I believe in the 70s, and but if not, think about that. That looks like something out of War of the Worlds, even in black and white. It literally looks like the original kind of War of the Worlds disc. So pretty crazy. What do you think about it? We'll put the image and the article over on the website so you can actually zoom in and look for yourself. One thing that has happened in the last 5 years, as you guys know, is they have been talking about UFOs nonstop for the last few years. Now, some could attribute that to everything else that's going on in geopolitics and everything else, and it is a very welcome distraction for many. There's a lot of people that you probably know in your real life that do not pay attention to anything going on in the political arena, and they're more focused on any of the weird stuff, and they are just craving anything that is not related to the troubles of real-time, real life. As far as it's not good to all focus on negative things either, But at the same time, there are people, and we all know them, where they literally do not focus on anything that is happening, and they'd much rather go into the kind of other spectrum of things. As far as UFO stuff, it's an easy attention grabber. It's very interesting stuff, and it kind of grabs on to the fact that all of us are still asking questions about everything surrounding us. What is the meaning of life? Where are we from? All of this. And most people have questions in the back of their head, whether these be angels or aliens, whatever it may be. There's definitely a lot of questions that never stop until we finally get some answers. And most people, they've polled people, do believe that something is flying above us, that something is hidden, that something is cloaked, that something is visiting us, and most people believe that the government knows about it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Again, let me know in the chat. And then thank you, by the way, just want to say a quick thank you to Jacob Winter for doing a super thanks on the replay. Says, thank you for being a shining light in this current world of darkness. And then Kelly2334, thank you for the thanks. And then Main Watcher, thanks for what you guys do. Been watching for like 5 years. Love you guys. Thank you, Main Watcher, for doing a super thanks on the last show. And then K-Rec Zippy Moons, thank you. And Irish Rebel, thanks. Thank you. All right, and then Comet Moon is in the house. We've got Spawn23, the right side. Denise Gonzalez, what is happening? Says hello to Bones. Gunny, a.k.a. Michael Corson, how's everyone tonight? Queen BTP, hey fam, glad to be here. Missed y'all. Well, we missed you too. And then T.O., Curry Ann Shepherd, thank you for being here. Bug Nana, Jen Boyles, Teacup Pug, and Zenwen AZ. Lisa R. Hall, can't skip you. And I'm sorry I missed you and Ilea's stream there. I tried to share that out on Twitter, but I didn't have time. That day, I went to Survival Livings right before he ended. I made it to, made it to Dutch Sense. I made it to a second of Jacob's. Everybody was live that day, so I apologize. And then, I don't know if Bones was live, but somebody else was live from the Foogle fam. So lots of Foogle fam went live on Saturday or Sunday. Lynn Rael, thank you. The Major, Anthony Dighton, and everybody else that has popped in. I appreciate all of you, and I really do appreciate you. East Tennessee Preparedness, before the show even started, did a super chat and says, hello, Adam Dex Mods. Proud to be a part of the Foogle fam. Hey, well, thank you for sticking around with us, and thank you for saying thank you to the mods. They keep it a peaceful place down there, and it is definitely gets crazy down there when there's anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 people chatting. It is definitely a stressful thing to do, so make sure to thank them. Mr. Mac, thank you for subscribing. Irish USMC Vet, thanks for your support last time, and thank you for your service. All right, getting back into it, we have, of course, wealthy Americans are buying second passports as a plan B for their families, citing the demic, change of the climate, and turmoil from politics. It says that the number of wealthy Americans applying for citizenship or residency in foreign countries has skyrocketed over the past 3 years as U.S. billionaires, tech entrepreneurs, and celebrities look to create a plan B for their families, multiple investment migration firms told Insider. It says more than a dozen countries offer so-called golden passports and visas that allow affluent foreigners to receive citizenship or residency in exchange for investing in the country. Now, by the way, this is something we have talked about before, and a lot of people commented. The show that I talked about this, I had like 10 comments from people saying, that is so not true. You can't just pay to be a citizen places. And I said, yes, you can. In Australia, in the US, in Europe, in all sorts of places, you can pay a certain amount of money if you invest in land or property. Even if you buy the big enough amount of buildings or houses, you can actually become a citizen. NZ, Zealand, of course, all of these different places offer this. And that's what I didn't know they were called the Golden Passport, but this is proof that they are definitely grabbing citizenship in other countries like something's about to go down. Dex, when you saw this, what did you think of? I mean, like, we've talked about this for years, and now it's starting to come out more and more. The stuff that we talked about before the data matched it.
Yeah, exactly. This was, to me, it was sort of like the proof. We've been talking about it because we've heard about it, we've known about it anecdotally, we've seen others that were doing it, but now we've got somebody coming out and actually talking about the data, and somebody that actually does this for a living, right? This is coming from a company that actually helps these elites find, the best ways to do their investments to also get, these golden passports. So, yeah, it just reinforces what we've been saying all along.
And we've been talking about this for now over 3 years, and people didn't believe us because there wasn't much information about this. But again, it was known because there were certain high-profile figures that they had dual citizenship, and certain people, when they made waves in the news, people questioned. They're like, how do they have dual citizenship? They weren't born there. Why do they have citizenship? And then it was answered that essentially they just had spent a lot of money there. Specifically in Zealand, right, in New, where that horrific event happened that closed down YouTube. They at one point, I think, paused it or something because so many people were going there, which only fed kind of the fire of all of the theories going around of everybody moving to NZ. But again, that was when I kind of found out about it about three and a half years ago. And then I noticed that we were hearing all sorts of people were doing this, and they're going to the craziest places, but they're all getting away from Europe. They're all getting away from Vlad country. They're all getting away from Xi country. They're all getting away from U.S. Where are they going? Well, most of them are going to these places that are supposedly the safer places when things go down. And this is why they're doing it. And more data is going to come out to back this up. And finally, now with things like this, it's like now finally we're vindicated, but is it too late? At this point, who cares? And the average person, we can't just go buy property in Australia or something and move there. But these rich people can. So yeah, as far as all of this, basically this is their plan B. They're going to go here. They're going to have a private plane take them to one of these places. It says the most expensive programs range from 1.1 million in Malta to 9.5 million in Austria, according to Forbes. It says we see these programs as an insurance policy. As Adine Solman, a managing partner at Latitude Residency and Citizenship, said, we've had some billionaires approach us and ask us what's the best place to live if there's a catastrophe or if there's another storm or another global demic. And these are the places that they're going. Dex?
Yeah, and there's even certain places where you can get in with less money and get residency in that country, and then that country has like access to 26 other countries via what's called visa-free travel, right? So there's all these games they're playing where they can get access to multiple places by doing this. So I think Portugal is one of them that gives them, multi-year resident, and then you have access to 26 other countries.
So say they pay $500,000, they get dual citizenship, they can go anytime they want, and then from that country, since they are a dual citizen, once they are there, they can travel to any one of those 26 locations and bounce out. This is what we've talked about, and people look at us like we're nuts, but now the data, and this is in Forbes. This is, a couple years ago, people were saying that these are just crazy, kooky ideas. Now there's proof. Now people are starting to see it. Anybody who's been with me for a long time knows we've talked about this for a super long time. And very specifically, people getting this dual citizenship out of investments and then having that be their emergency plan. And over the last 3 years, we saw the great exodus of CEOs. All of these CEOs, and we're talking in the thousands, most likely over 10,000 now. As of 2020, mid 2020, 2 years ago, they were already into the 5,000s. And now we've gone through, 2 more years of craziness. And these were CEOs, some of them in their early 20s that were CEOs of these huge companies, these big tech companies. They left and they didn't go to another company. They just left and retired, and some of them had years on their contract. Some of them were giant companies that basically they had the cushiest job ever, where they had to go in once a week and say, check, 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 yeah, sure, sign a check here, and they left. And that's why it was so suspicious. Even the companies investigated, why are these people leaving? Some of them were investigated because they thought they were leaving because that they knew something was about to happen to that company. We talked about this. If you look up the Great CEO Exodus, you can see tons of pieces on this. Why are all the elites leaving? Why are they all getting this plan B? Like somebody says, it's not rocket science. Something is going down right now. There is a restructure happening, and they know in as little as 8 years, the entire planet is going to be turned on its head. And everybody else, all your friends and family that are just completely asleep to this, they're going to say you're crazy and you're nuts. And officially, most of these platforms and the groups, they will call you that because they don't want you spreading stuff like this. They think it's something bad, right? They don't want anybody thinking that things are going downhill. In fact, it's part of our culture here in the U.S. and other places that not to affect the stock market, we won't tell about emergencies or impending emergencies, such as if say there's an impending natural disaster that they know happens every 30 years, they will keep it quiet until the very last second, and they won't fix it until it's broken because they don't want it to change any of the money flow. For the West Coast, if they told people that we're 80 years overdue for a 9.0 earthquake that's going to devastate the entire West Coast and essentially wipe out everything west of I-5, according to FEMA, then people wouldn't move there. People wouldn't spend money. People wouldn't buy to invest in a place that's going to be underwater. But of course, it's all about the money. And it's all about just the sheer idea that everything is going to keep going and keep rolling okay. The countries that are honest about it are not the ones that are powerful. It's a culture thing. It's something that I just never understood. Japan is one small exception there, and I know that Japan probably has corruption, all sorts of stuff that has gone on, and we know throughout their history they've had stuff like the Yakuza and all sorts of stuff with government officials, but Japan will write a check. For instance, if they know that, there's even a slight possibility in the next 200 years, a huge earthquake is going to hit, or they know that something may happen, they'll write a check for their grandkids, and they'll spend the money before it happens because they're thinking of their future generations. They actually do a whole lot of things. They spend a whole lot of money just because something may happen, not because it already happened. That's what we do. In fact, before 2011, when that huge earthquake happened, that was a 9.0 out in the middle of nowhere that nobody knew was going to happen, all of their buildings were built to an 8.5 or an 8.2 standard. So all of the buildings basically swayed, and a lot of them made it through only because they paid the money to basically prep all of it. They did have a lot of earthquakes, but they never expected one that big. But since they spent the money to retrofit everything beforehand, it was minimal damage. 15,000 perished in that tsunami, and everybody pretty much remembers where they were when that happened. They remember the news footage. It was something out of a movie. But they actually paid a whole lot of money beforehand, and you can go back as much as 20 years before that, and you can see that they spent money to fix things that weren't broken yet, to harden them against a future disaster. And that's smart. But we don't do that because everybody is, I swear, it's like the countries are like bad landlords. They don't want to fix it until it's broken, and when they do fix it, they put like a little duct tape patch on it and then paint over it. That's what every country does in Europe, the US, Australia. A lot of these countries do that. What do you think? Is your opinion different? Let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, where are these guys going? That's what I want to know, and I would love to see the data of where exactly they are all buying citizenship, and that should be public information. So we'll see if we can dig into that, and or if you can dig into it. If you have information on that, let us know. And then thank you, LJ and Gulo. Thank you so much. I don't think I got you last time. Above my pay grade, thanks for your perspective. I'm spreading the message to my military community. Check out my channel, Above My Pay Grade. Above My Pay Grade, I will check you out. And thank you. And if I'm assuming you served, so if you did, thank you for your service. Zenwen AZ, thank you for your support as well. Thank you again. I don't know if you caught it, but I thanked you for your super thanks the other day. And then JT says, hey fam, Ilea says I'll be going live every Saturday at 7 p.m. playing survival game, basic survival trivia. Hope you and Dex can be my guests on my show sometime. Ilea, of course we can. And then that's a perfect day to do it too. Meepa007 says trucker report, regurgitated freight now is very soft. It says just like general freight. Shout out to the mods, Dex and Marf. Thank you. And then Jason Owens, thanks for subscribing. Again, welcome to the Foogle fam. Everybody over on D Live, thank you. Everybody that just popped in. We have Morning Flower. We have Release the Quacken. Carrie Ray, it's nice to see you again. Vicky K. V Night VNC, once again, thank you. One of my oldest subscribers there. And Goldie 2001, Bear Claws, Greifel, and Amy D. Gem and Chance and Jammer, thank you guys for modding. It says power grid operators warn of electricity shortages. It says a U.S. energy crisis is emerging, and electricity power grid operators are warning of the potential of rolling blackouts as the summer heat arrives. Hey, Dex, this is like almost something that you didn't need a crystal ball for, and we talked about all year, and now it's here, and they're already telling people that they're going to have rolling blackouts.
Exactly. We've been talking about water shortages, which, by the way, it goes hand in hand here. It doesn't even talk about that. When you think about the fact that a lot of these places are no longer storing or having as much water, well, a lot of those dams produce electricity as well, right? Not just water supply for their locations. So, take that and cut it out. We've been talking about that. We've been talking about the fact that the power demand has been at record highs year over year. We've always seen these, right? And they're predicting a lot earlier now this year that they're going to see it again. And that's kind of, it's sort of, like you said, it's not something that's new to us because we've been talking about it, but here they are telling everybody to get ready. And it's not just the usual suspects. It's not just California. It's other locations as well.
No, and it's moving inwards, and this heat that everyone saw last year and the year before, we of course saw the crazy fires over in California, but they also saw these rolling blackouts. Some of our Foogle fam members had no power for upwards of 9 days, was I believe the longest, and a lot of them had these like anywhere from 2 to 7 day rolling blackouts. So that means that the actual local government is turning off the power for it and letting them know. Now, I believe there were services, and locals, feel free to chime in and tell us, like, what did they do for you if they forcefully turned off your power? You would think they would turn it off like half the day or let you have it at night, or you would think if some people weren't affected, they would just do it to everybody and do it for like half a day at a time so people would actually be able to like sleep through the night or whatever. It's just crazy to me that they are able just to say, hey, we're not going to give you power for these days. It's an essential thing to live. It's essentially like these people were for a week homeless. Even if they had a roof over their head in 115 degree temperatures or 110 degree temperatures, it's like, it's not much of a home anyways. It's like a sauna in your house. So they couldn't use air conditioning. They couldn't use much of anything. Now, this is why when we started looking, that's why we started telling people to get, something like an energy solar generator or generators in general, because this is something that is, we take for granted. We have been taking power for granted for so long, and it's only been a little over 100 years that we've had power. Out of the entire time that human beings have been on this planet, or piece of paper, or whatever you want to call it, we have had power for, just over 150 years, whatever you want to call it. So how in the world do people not realize that this thing could all crumble? Almost all of our infrastructure is outdated. And we're talking about dated like, when you see a really old house that still has like the 60s stuff in it, that's our power grid. So as far as this goes, one thing you'll have plenty of in California, which I highly recommend, is getting yourself a solar generator. And then Elon Musk fans concerned about after billionaire writes chilling post on Twitter. Before we talk about that, I do want to remind you, if you haven't already, make sure to go over and check out EMP Shield. Now, if you do not know what this is a device, and they make different devices for different things. The most popular device is for cars. What it does is it can ground the signal of an EMP, in fact, any phase, all three phases, E1, E2, and E3 of an EMP, before it can fry your device. Now, in the case of a car, after an EMP, say you're driving along and then all of a sudden all the cars on the road are stopped and they all just die, and your cell phone is gone, that's an EMP. Your car will have grounded that signal and you'll still be able to drive. That's, again, if you have an EMP wired in. What it does is it grounds the signal in 500 trillionths of a second before it's able to fry it. Now, it also protects against the natural kind, the solar event, a Carrington-level event. It is something that is in, these end-of-the-world movies. It is a reality, and it is going to happen. We just don't know when. Now, they are starting to harden the grid, but we're nowhere close. We are completely vulnerable right now. The only places that are truly really hardened are usually the military, the government buildings. Those buildings have already contracted different things. But again, they say if our entire grid goes down, 90% of us would perish. And the reason why is because water is actually the main reason. Not because we would be taking each other out and looting each other or whatever. It's because we would not have access to fresh water. The gas pumps would stop pumping. The power would stop flowing. So again, if you want to protect your house, your boat, your RV, your motorcycle, your car, your ham radio, your solar system, again, any of these things can be protected. Go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. This is the same company that's been contracted by agencies like DHS, DOD, and the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. That's marfooglenews.com/EMP. And just a reminder, you can also get the Energy solar generator we'll talk about later. That you can actually get an EMP shield custom. It is a custom version for the in and out for your solar generator. So you can actually get not only a solar generator, but you can also get an EMP shield to protect it. So you're covered in pretty much any scenario. All right, and then let's see here. We have Elon Musk fans concerned about after the billionaire. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know I did a joke before we kind of found out that it was about Vlad. So I'll read you what he said. It says, "If I die under mysterious circumstances, it's been nice knowing you." Now, I actually did a tweet and I essentially posted let me see if is it in Up Next Extra or is it in
Yeah, they're all three in Screener.
Okay, perfect. Let me see. Okay, hold on. So I'll pull up the tweet and I'll pull up the actual thing here. And so this actually was that Vlad, the Roscosmo guy, and we've talked about him, Rogozin, essentially threatened him, kind of. Once you see the threat, you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. So let's see here. Let's open that one, and that one. All right, so this is the tweet that everybody, and this, what's really crazy is how much coverage this has got. This is why I said we don't talk about Elon, no, because essentially the entire world, if I see all mainstream media attached to one thing, I am looking the opposite direction. I'm looking at what's under the blanket, what else is happening. And there's a ton of it happening. But this is what he said. And at the time, no one really, I guess, nobody had put it together yet, but it only took a few minutes for everybody to figure out what this was about. Now, this is what he was saying. It was basically a comment by Rogozin, but this is what I said back, and people didn't get the joke for some reason. And he said, if I die of mysterious circumstances, and nobody got this joke. This is the picture I posted. And I said, I have info on Hillary Clinton. Bang! Or autopilot will be free. Bang! Sorry, I meant 12,000. People, there were a couple people that actually said that they didn't, they were like, this, I gotta show you this. This is just, somebody said, look at this conspiracy theorist. He actually thinks that Hillary is going to take out Elon. Oh, yeah. Someone screenshot this. I mean, like, dude, people have no sense of humor whatsoever, but especially on Twitter. It's like this conspiracy theorist now thinks Hillary is going to take Elon. And there's a bigger thing here, the fact that people literally take everything literally. And I don't understand it. And again, you know, it's like you have to take a second and see what kind of brainwash they are, right? So, but again, nobody knew at that time. So, but people also don't know about the Hillary stuff. People don't actually know. They think that that's something attached to a group of people, and they go to Snopes and they go, "Oh, well, I read it on Snopes that it's not." There's a real reason why that joke is kind of a creepy, dark joke. Okay, because there's actually a ton of people that disappeared. It's not exactly a theory. It's more of like a question mark, right? So I don't understand how some people are just not, you know, looking at this stuff and actually understand why people joke about it, why the entire world jokes about it. That family has had a lot of people close to them, you know, goners. But so it turns out Cosmos, one of the leader guys, basically says to stop fooling around. It says basically there, because Roscosmos is saying that Elon helped them not only with Starlink, but also helped them with imaging, with location, with internet, with all the different things that they use to actually attack Vlad in his places. So they said that he is helping the NAZIs, right? So that's why he said that. And for some reason, the entire world has been attached to it because they're saying that he was threatened. And if you read it, it's not. It says, no matter how much you'll play the fool. And this and they say, for this, Elon, you will be held accountable like an adult, no matter how much you'll play the fool. So that's kind of the weakest threat I've seen. But again, are they saying held accountable like an adult, like they're going to take him out? He's kind of taking it however which way that he is as well. So what do you think? Do you think this is a distraction? Do you think that he really is in danger for helping? And then another thing, everybody is stating that Elon is a hero. And I really hope that he is a hero for free speech, that everyone thinks he is. And again, you guys know, I think the guy obviously has done a lot of crazy stuff. But he's done so much crazy good stuff that it's almost like, you know, if it's too good to be true. He has all of the contracts. Every one of his companies is attached to the same government he's saying is bad. Why would they give him all these contracts? And then he is the one launching Starlink through the Pentagon. He is launching all this stuff. He has SpaceX contracted with them. He has, of course, Neuralink contracted with them. Tesla with the power grid. He has the Boring Company digging holes for the cities. But at the same time, you have the official administration saying that he's a jerk. Like, something doesn't compute. Dex, go ahead.
Hey, do you still have his original tweet? The one about if he passes under mysterious circumstances. There's an interesting follow-up underneath it from a Mohammed that is a check mark, and then he replied to that one.
Oh my God! You mean Mr. Beast?
No.
Okay, but by the way, Mr. Beast says if that happens, can I have Twitter? He says okay. He actually responded.
Oh yeah, but check the next one out.
Okay, so this guy, Mohammed, says, "You won't die before your day, Elon. Anyhow, let's see here. You were a unique figure in this world. I'm only wondering one thing. As a genius, haven't you found out that there is a great creator of this world yet? If you did, make sure you confess this before your last heartbeat. Bless you. That's creepy. He says, thank you for the blessing, but I'm okay with going to hell if that is indeed my destination, since the vast majority of all humans ever born will be there. Which, by the way, I hear a lot of Christians saying that he is like a good guy. I've never heard him talk about. I would see him being one of these CEOs that's into meditation and stuff and new age stuff. But what is he? Does he actually declare anything? Pomps,
I'm not aware of anything.
Pomp says we must protect you at all costs. Humanity is counting on you. So that's that's like two different kind of that's totally different sides of this. People are saying that he is humanity's last hope. And by the way, if his SpaceX thing is true and if he's right, that means he is saying that humanity's only saving grace is being a multiplanetary species, saying that he's going to save humanity literally, not just the information, conflict that's going on. And then, Dex, I'm going to have you cover one of the next ones, and NK fires suspected submarine-launched ballistic missile.
Yeah, so we've been hearing a lot of the ramp up going on, and especially they're expecting more of a nuclear test coming in the not too distant future. So we're still waiting to see if that actually happens. But in the last couple of days, there was also a recent suspected sub launch that went off from a coastal city of Sinpo. So yet again, another pretty significant test from their for that small hermit country, right? So as we whether or not we consider them to be a serious and valid threat or not, take that with whatever grain of salt you want or sand you want. But it's definitely eye-opening every time they do something, because you never know is it going to go wrong? Is it an intentional thing versus being just tests, right? If they keep testing, one day it's not, or one day it may go wrong and go to the wrong location, right? And that can cause all sorts of turmoil and havoc when that actually happens.
Well, with NK, as far as all of these weird tests and things, I kind of have thought that maybe they are going to be like the left or right hand of one of these bigger countries and do things for them, or be kind of the middleman or something and launch something for somebody, because then we would only be able to respond to them. I don't think they have I don't know how much they actually have to lose. And then NK, to show you that they are preparing for, I think, with Xi and Xi's country, they are preparing people to be tough. They're preparing them for conflict. Again, we've seen the same thing in Xi-land. Xi actually banned a whole lot of any kind of effeminate men on television, did all sorts of things that essentially kind of say that they're preparing to prepare their people for a tough time ahead. It says that NK bans tight jeans, dyed hair, other trends with capitalist flair. Now, if you've been following my show, you would know we covered just the other day that Sony came out and said that they denied the request from China to completely edit out the Statue of Liberty from Spider-Man 3. This was a request from them because it had patriotic scenes. In fact, they said anything patriotic, can you please remove it? Or anything that's overly patriotic, can you remove it? If you know Spider-Man 3, not trying to spoil anything, but the last half an hour is a giant scene of them flying around the Statue of Liberty. So they had the nerve to actually ask to remove the entire Statue of Liberty. That's how much they are offended by it. Okay. Ow. Sorry. I have Waffles is what my daughter named her kitten. Was Eve, but it would not stop meowing, so I had to let it in. Now it's attacking me. Okay. I should show you guys it because you guys saw it when it was birthed. I know people have been asking how the kitten is. This is Waffles, and she fractured her growth plate, which is like the little knee part. So she now has like a weird like pigeon-toed thing when she runs. They said they couldn't do anything because they are growing so fast when it's that tiny. So it's pretty cute though. She literally hobbles around, and I guess that's how she runs. And the vet said she was fine. But anyways, back to the subject of this. This is just obviously, it seems like NK and Xi are getting extremely close. They're doing a lot of the same things for their country. And what's crazier is that Xi is doing this with his country because it is such a large country. It is so powerful in the world, as far as most of the world is now trading with Xi. And they are able to do this. And yet, since they have something over almost every country's head as far as exports, and, every country is importing from them, especially very important things like antibiotics and important electronics and important minerals and resources, that they can do anything they want. Not only that, Hollywood is completely and utterly, bowing down to Xi almost every turn. I'm actually surprised that they did not delete the Statue of Liberty out of Spider-Man 3. So, really, really crazy stuff here. Now, by the way, why does this mean that they're preparing for something? Tell me, why do you think that if you were going to get into a big conflict, what would you start doing? And then Xi will boost ties with Russia in military tech, energy, and space, top envoy says. It says Xi will continue to deepen cooperation with Vlad on military technology, energy, and space, according to its top envoy in Mexico, amid speculation that Beijing may help its neighbor evade the sanctions over the conflict in UKR. In an interview with Vlad state news agency TASS, Zhang Henwei said energy had been the most important, fruitful, and extensive area of pragmatic cooperation between Vlad and Xi. He said such cooperation would be strengthened, but as Europe tries to reduce its dependence on Vlad fuel, Zhang stopped short of promising to buy more oil and gas from Vlad. Zhang said that there would be difficulties in bilateral trade with Vlad, but the two sides would enhance settlements in their national currencies to ensure stable trade that they hoped would reach 200 billion US by 2024. So, Dex, as far as basically it's kind of like in slow-mo, it's doing exactly what we thought it was going to do, and Xi is going to be helping out Vlad evade all of the stuff that, everyone's making a big deal out of. In the beginning, they said that the sanctions that they don't give a crap about the sanctions, and that there would be a way around the sanctions because Xi and his country has become so powerful, and now the world is doing more trade with Xi than they are with the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to launder, if you want to call it that, all of the transactions that they need to do through Xi. They're not going to admit it, they being Xi, but that's why he stopped short of saying, "Oh, we'll buy more fuel." But in reality, what they're talking about doing is basically moving what they need to, and I'm sure Xi is more than happy to make those transactions and even probably take some off the top as they go through and increase his own chests, so to speak, right? So, yeah, this is, we said we were going to cut him off, and then the world sort of did, and it was obvious that the only path forward would be through G, and it looks like it's happening. It's like we knew this was going to happen. You could tell it was going to happen, and it looks like it is moving forward. And it's also showing clear signs of being able to do transactions in other currencies besides the USD, which is the most commonly, currency used to reconcile large transactions.
Oh my gosh. Kitty, there's curtains, and Kitty was 6 feet up. I just can't. And if I put her outside the door, she just meows. If you rewind, you'll see in the first part of the show, you can hear her. She wants to be in the same room as me. And so there's no winning. She is so cute, though. All right. And then Vlad sparks more health speculation by covering legs with blanket at parade. Okay, I would never see Vlad as the kind of guy that would put a little blanket over his legs. That is weird. I have to say, out of all the things that we've kind of seen, I don't know what the temperature was, though. And by the way, I don't think it's bad for a man to cover with a little blanket if it's outside or something. I mean, it's kind of petty to say, like, oh, you're not manly if you have a blanket on or whatever, but at the same time, knowing who Vlad is, it's just not the kind of thing you would see. I just have to.
I got a picture if you want it. It's in Screener. It's interesting. He's got one. Oh, he's pretty bundled up, and he's got him over his legs. But 2 seats beside him, and in that picture, the guy's taking off his jacket. So. For what that's worth, it certainly caused a lot of speculation, and everyone is up in arms over it. Of course, this is all leading off of all of the speculation that we've seen the West reporting on about his health conditions, about special doctors that have been following around, about speculation that he might be battling cancer, about speculation that he's got dementia, or speculation that he's got some other ailment, and then there's this notion of a blanket. Now you might even say that the blanket was there and he just put it on his lap because it just happened to be in the way. He didn't want to sit on it. I don't know, but
well, now do we have the picture of it?
Yeah, I put it in Screener for you.
Okay, so here's the picture they're talking, and I'm like, here's why it matters. Most people are like, who cares? He's putting a blanket over. It's not something that historically would be a Vlad thing to do. It's kind of like somebody in Seattle being caught with a umbrella. It's just something that it rains so much that a tourist when they have an umbrella in the rain, because we just deal with it, right? As far as a man in Russia covering up with a blanket might culturally be, I don't know. I would think that would be something here. Now, he's getting old. He's 64 years old, right? Maybe he didn't care. This is the same guy that rode shirtless on a horse. The same guy that essentially, walks with a KGB pimp walk. I don't know. I don't think that would mean he's unhealthy, but who knows? I like how the guy behind him is taking a picture. Maybe this guy is like, look at Vlad. He wear a blanket on legs. Girly man. He has...
Doesn't the blanket look tough?
Even the blanket, it's like a military blanket. He's like, I'm cold, but I'll also, take you out in your sleep. I think it says both.
Would our president have a quilt?
I don't know, but these just all look like very happy people. Look at this guy. Is that Henry Rollins? What the hell? This guy looks like he's a puppet. Like he has no arms, and somebody's going to start wiggling his feet with their fingers. This guy's about to hurl, and then that dude's like, oh, there's a camera. And, of course, we have Vlad says that fighting for motherland in UKR victory. So I did a video over on news, and I really do have, I got the chills when I read that. And because it isn't out in your face, he's not saying it straight up. And most people are saying, in fact, Dex is saying, did you say, I didn't get your text. Were you saying that he more sounds like he's whining, or was that about the other thing that we were talking about?
Well, it was more like, he was just spitting off the same rhetoric, and, trying to, I don't know if he's whining so much, but just sort of, it wasn't like he came right out and made it a clear and strong statement about, a declaration. It was all sort of like these underhanded statements or these justifications for why they were doing what they did, or complaining about everyone else around him, right? That is the problem. So it was, it could have been a lot worse, but it probably could have been better too.
Okay, so parts of this speech, they are comparing UKR. They're saying he says straight up UKR has neo-Nazis, and that the rest of the world, right now, that the NATO and everybody else, that this is the new Adolf. Okay, they are directly corresponding. Now, I've seen some stuff in chat, and people are not like taking Vlad's side, but saying we know what certain governments have done before, and we know that there are some scandals out there. What they have done is they crucify anyone that goes against the U.S. and says, oh, they're carrying water for Vlad, or they're doing this or that. You cannot trust either, but you can also see when something is happening to the point where there's bad guys on the good side. And that something is very, very suspicious about this entire thing. He is saying, when you read the whole thing, and he's saying, as in 1945, we will win and all this, and basically calling all of the people involved in this as the bad guys, the very worst guys from 1945, it seems like this is just the beginning. Most people quote that Vlad was part of the Young Leaders Group from the WEF, and I believe he was, right? Maybe he's getting kicked out, and that's my intuition, and my intuition has been right more than wrong, as far as, because they tell us these things that are very obvious. I think he may be getting kicked out. That they're done using him. They don't have any more use for him. They've moved on to somebody else, or somebody else took over that group. Somebody else gave everyone on the board at this forum, and they said, hey, we've got a better idea, but you're going to have to go under this king, right? You're going to have to take a seat. You'll get a seat at the table, and you'll be taken care of. You'll be the richest you've ever been, but you're going to have a different king. It seems to me like most people do not believe that WW3 will ever happen. It's something that is very freaky. In their country, this is not a conflict yet. This is a special military operation. So they did not declare, but what they did do is, and by the way, they said in their media, which you have to go all the way around to even get to, or go directly to their website to see what they're saying, because now they're blocked everywhere. They are saying that they had it was complete nonsense that they were going to declare an official conflict. At the same time, they're essentially saying that they're going to not only win on this, but they're going to win against this greater evil. They also, wasn't there an accusation there of something that was really freaky, like the reason why they did it? They're basically getting their people to support it and saying, look at what they're doing. They're shutting people up. They're doing this. They're doing that. Did you get that when you read it? Did you read the whole thing, Dex?
On their side, you mean shutting people up on their side? Yeah. Well, I mean, that's sort of like the, I guess, modus operandi over there is, you speak out against, then you're going to be shut up. And it's not just shut up, it's locked up, right? That's, look at Navalny or others, right? And especially protesters over there. They've all been arrested when they've tried to stand up against some of these things.
When you look at some of the things that our culture and the world has now done, as far as now they don't have to lock you up. They can basically put you in a little corner and lock the key. They can, what would you call it? It's kind of like they can, if they shadow ban somebody, it's virtually like they don't exist. If they delete somebody off of or they deplatform, oh my gosh, then they're gone. Look at AJ. AJ, you have to search him out and go directly to his site. Otherwise, you cannot find him anywhere. The Prez wasn't allowed on any of the platforms. The actual 45th President of the United States. Think about that. Erasing people, says Tammy Keller Capatorto. That isn't an Italian name if I ever saw one. Tammy, that's right. Carolyn Hall, thank you for being here. DS pre-planned major scare event worldwide. Mick Victor says, continue. Not exactly. They can digitally quarantine. Marf, remember last year you showed a British general talking about the Bozzy. Oh, man, that went by too fast. That Gen X dude says the Matrix has you. My Blue Sky, yeah. If Vlad poisons you with uranium. Virginia, UKR is Vlad's Bay of Pigs. Just like Cuba was our Bay of Pigs, JFK wanted no weapons in Cuba. Knowledge 2020 says shadow banned. That was pretty funny. Island by the Sea, what's going on? Rizar. Marf, when will Bluebeam will start? Donna Honey, was that? Or that was Tarva Puranik. I don't think they need Bluebeam anymore. I think technology has gone past Bluebeam. In fact, Bluebeam was what they could have done years ago. I think that they're past Bluebeam. I think that they could do it with different technology and do better than what the premise of Bluebeam was, which was projecting whatever they wanted. They may even be able to do something else. Once they get Neuralink in, they could put something in front of our eyes that we don't even realize that isn't real. And then once you have seen where the graphics and things are going, it's pretty scary. And if you've seen some of the videos from like Arma 3, the video game, people are actually thinking that that's real clips from the conflict going on over in Vladtown. So think about this. Once they put those games with those graphics, and then we're talking about we are going to be connected to these computers via Neuralink, and I know a lot of you are like, no, I won't. Trust me, more people will. People will do it and voluntarily say, I want Neuralink, because if you don't have Neuralink, you won't be able to do things. Neuralink might be the mark. Think about that. I mean, that's insanity. Neuralink is already played as well. Miss Bella, what's going on? Basically, they can trick the mind, says John Purdy. Yeah, what if they don't even need to put a visual in front of you? What if your mind thinks there's a visual there? They have all sorts of stuff. Crystal Ingram says, screw that. Guess what? Well, when we go all digital, the money's all digital, and you basically can get in anywhere with the Neuralink, or you're going to have to go through loops just to do things. People will end up taking it. Why do you think people took this other thing? They thought, oh, I won't be able to travel. I won't be able to go somewhere. In 2 years when I go on vacation, I might not be able to go there, even though they never really did that. People ran out and did it. It's scary. Jasmine Torres, when you start begging for food, think about this. Neuralink, when they have that hooked up to any kind of other thing like money and being able to scan, just like tap to pay, which, by the way, now I told you guys about that. The woman was so just rude and loud and like, I can't believe what kind of place doesn't have tap to pay, to a little gas station, like little tiny old school gas station. What kind of place doesn't have tap to pay? Oh, you are, this is pathetic. That's the attitude people have now because everybody's used to tapping, right? They don't even want to have their card. They have their phone and they tap to pay. In the future, they don't even want their phone because the phone's all built in and you just tap your hand. Or the second you walk in, your chip is red, you grab things, you just walk out of the store. But think about what they're already doing with the Aadhaar card in India. India also has 1.4 billion people, and their welfare system is set up on the Aadhaar card, AARARD or something like that. And essentially, it is a database of every single human being's iris, fingerprints, all of their biological every kind of biological feature, their facial recognition, everything is on the Aadhaar card. And if you are on welfare or when you go get food, if you don't have your Aadhaar card, which is your biometrics, then you don't get food. In fact, people starved. In fact, one gentleman in particular starved because he said, I'm not going to do the biometrics. I'm not going to give you my fingerprints and my iris scan and my facial recognition and my teeth print or whatever it was. And he ended up starving because they wouldn't give him food. And then they turned around and said, oh, well, it was a mistake. We should have given him food and he didn't have to have it. They did do that. Look up Aadhaar card with 2 A's. That's what's coming. Only with the technology going as fast as it is, it's going to be built in. So just think about that. And then Vlad's nuclear conflict threat is very real and his psychiatric health is bad. So almost everything is Ganda now. But at the same time, preppers look at this with the slight chance that if any of this is real, or if something gets played wrong, or if we have it all wrong and he really is getting kicked out and he really is backed in a corner and he is one of the nuclear powers, he can't get out through any of the medias because they've cut him off. And he's telling his country one thing, we're telling ours the other. We're the enemy now. He's got Xi to back him up. One of the biggest countries in the world and one of the most powerful as far as trade goes. Second richest or third richest in the world. And essentially all of these other countries have completely cut them out of the picture. They might do something crazy. And basically people that don't think that, they're betting on the fact that they're all working together and it's just all for show. It's a bet. It's a gamble that it's all a show. It very well may be true, but that's what people are betting and gambling on. You are gambling either way you go. You're gambling if it's a 1% chance of a nuclear weapon going off. You're gambling if you think that they're all on a show and everybody's going to be okay and it's just going to be to change some laws here and there. Very well could be. It says the threat of Vlad launching a nuclear war is very real and his psychiatric health is bad indeed. An oligarch close to the tyrant has warned. A prominent billionaire has alerted associates about his health and said stories about him going bonkers are not a joke. This sounds like Ganda, but they say it's from Ganda from close to him, right? It says the oligarch said himself and others with prominent business empires closely linked to the leader are fearful over his next move in UKR. Now, remember, if this is an oligarch that's close to him, they're probably being sanctioned as well. So they may have motivation to say things to get out of their sanctions. Think about that. If the U.S. government comes to them and they go, hey, you're part of all these sanctions and we've sanctioned you, we've taken your $500 million yacht, we'll give all that back if you say something. Think about that. Last week, investigative journalist Christo Grosjev claimed that Vlad's top commanders plan to ignore his order to launch a nuclear missiles because they think he is gravely ill. Okay, so just to read that again. Last week, investigative journalist Christo Grosjev claimed that Vlad's top commanders plan to ignore his order to launch nuclear missiles because they think he is gravely ill. It says, quote, I have no exact data about his health condition, but people who are close to him, including oligarchs, believe he has cancer. So what they're saying is that if he does say, and later this is a setup, they could say, oh, he did order a nuclear strike, but his men wouldn't do it. Dex?
This sounds awfully familiar, like in the sense that this happened to our previous administration. Remember, they said if he does anything like that, someone in Congress, it may have been the Speaker of the House, I can't remember, it was her or the head of the Senate or someone else, said we should take that away if he wants to do that. Right? Didn't we say that?
Oh, you mean T-Man, right?
Yeah, they were like, oh, in the last 2 months of his administration, they were all saying, oh no, make sure he doesn't have access to that button. Take it away or ignore his commands. It's almost like the same thing.
It's like he is the world hated, right? And he's an easy person to hate. That's the thing. Have you guys ever seen, the definition for a patsy? Somebody that fits the description who already is not liked, right? Or somebody who's easy not to like. And who kind of has things that match up in their real life. The guy's not a good guy. Nobody's standing up for him going, Vlad is such a good dude. Vlad, everybody knows he's ex-KGB. He did nasty things to get into office, or he was placed there because he did nasty things. He's not above any of this. He was part of this whole global stuff. That's why I think he's being kicked out. That's why I think that he's being used. And say if they do have this much power and they're so confident, maybe his top commanders really wouldn't. Like say Vlad last second says, I'm going to launch, and then his top commanders who are paid by somebody else are like, no. And then he's taken out, and then something gets replaced, and then all of a sudden, Vlad Town is now NATO. Only with a different ruler, and the whole country is a whole different place, running on the same digital currency that everybody else is. This may go completely other way. You know what's for sure, though, is our lives are going to change in the next 8 years. Guaranteed, whether it's through conflict or whether it's through daily torture to our daily lives and to our freedoms, we are going to suffer. That's the thing. Even if we don't suffer through burning buildings and missiles, we're going to suffer one way or another. I hope people realize that. Even if a single shot is not fired, we will have some sort of suffering. And mind you, people need to start taking serious what Elon said about robots taking everybody's job. People think that people are stuck in this whole science fiction Terminator thing. They think, well, they did a movie called Terminator, so that couldn't be true. We're not exactly talking about AI taking over and taking us all out. We're talking about every single job, including artists. Things that you possibly could not see a robot taking over are now being taken over. And once you understand how far this AI and technology and robotics are going, there is no job that a robot cannot do. And it's so serious. We're talking about every single job. Just name a job in the chat, and you can see that they're working on robotics to replace it. So what did Elon say? Elon said your best bet in the future is to have a monthly stipend? That everybody will be on a fixed income. Fixed income. Even
Guaranteed income.
guaranteed income. And then even creators, right, such as myself, they have AI, and they're even working on this as we speak, and it's not there yet. But they're working on, they have digital commercials. They have AI and these things, and they put in the parameters, and then it comes out, and it's just as creative as these real ones. They have these fake ads. These ads are actual, it's like TikTok and stuff like that, but it's a computer-generated TikTok. They're even doing that for advertisements. They're doing these computer-generated advertisements that look like they're normal people, like doing a 60-second clip. They're already doing it. Not to mention, you thought when deepfakes came out, everybody was fascinated. But when deepfakes are moving and they're so fast to make, when they can, and you've seen that they can randomly generate a person, they will take somebody who you will think is real, and they'll be talking, and they can have them act. They can even add charisma. They can make them likable. They can use profiles of people that are liked versus people that aren't. AI will be able to calculate that people with certain features, or if it's very beautiful, blue eyes, this and that, looks like somebody you trust, right? They'll have all of those parameters fit into this person, and then they are talking to you as if they are real. This is all happening right now. This is more scary than anything. You think you're safe because you're a lawyer? Well, a lawyer can be replaced. Do you think you're safe because you're a doctor? Doctors will be replaced. They're already saying it. Robotics that will be able to do any surgery, and AI that can do any kind of diagnosis. There is no job safe from this. You think, well, I'm a painter, or I'm an artist, or I'm a musician. AI. So this whole thing that's going on right now, I wouldn't put it past them to put a WW3, get rid of a bunch of us, and start over on this new system. And the people that don't comply, they die. And then, if you haven't lined your ducks up yet, I would highly recommend going over to Essentials of Life at marfooglenews.com/prep. If you don't have any kind of long-term survival food and you've been looking into it, we have a solution for you. If you go over here, you can get MREs that are sealed, and then again, you can get anywhere from a 72-hour supply up to a 3-month supply and more. Again, this is essentially sealed MREs, and then that are double sealed in buckets if you go above a month, and then you will have yourself long-term survival food that you can store for years. These are all really, really good meals. They're not just edible. They're actually tasty and really good food, quality food. And it is getting harder to find freeze-dried and long-term survival food like this. So I highly recommend getting it before you need it. Obviously, the people, again, fix things when they're broken, not before they are. If you are in California, or if you're in any state that has natural disasters, this isn't just for the end of the world. This is more so for just normal disasters that happen from time to time. These can be used. You lose power for 7 days, you may depend on this. Or in 5 years from now, inflation is so bad and you've lost your job, you can go and you can eat this instead. Instead of paying, $150 for a steak, which at that point you probably wouldn't either anyways. But again, if hyperinflation hits, some people are investing in this just to have extra food in case of hyperinflation. Again, there's also the Alexa Pure Pro. If you don't trust what's in your water, if you don't trust your tap water, most people don't want to drink tap water anyways because of all the stuff they know is in it. Again, you can go over and get an Alexa Pure Pro. It's a professional gravity-fed purification system. That's all at marfooglenews.com/prep. On the 3-month supply, there is now renewed the $150 off on that 3-month supply of food. If you go over there, they have iodine tablets. They have everything. marfooglenews.com/prep. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle if you go there some other way. That's, again, through My Patriot Supply. That is marfooglenews.com/prep. And then thank you, thank you, Jason Owens, Modern EDC, Everyday Carry. That's a cool name. Thank you for subscribing. I'm assuming you have a channel if with a name like that. Thank you for subscribing and welcome to the Foogle fam. Hope to check out your channel. Stephen McMahon, thank you. Lawnman Jed, what's going on? Thank you for subscribing. Simply Pony, cheer up. Hello, Mother Fooglers. Charnita Sawyer, thank you so much for subscribing. Nana of Montana, thank you for the massive support. Thank you for supporting independent. Thank you, and thank you. Cognitable and everybody else that just popped in, thank you over on DLive. Miss Jackson, I could say thank you, Miss Jackson. We all know Elon going to be on Mars until it's all clear. That's right. And then we have Stormblade X69, Zippy Moons. Thank you. Says, wish I could stay for the party. I'll catch the replay tomorrow. Love to you all. Can't stand all the distractions. Yeah, there's a lot of them. Bear Claws, Amy D, Priscilla R, Grand Illusion. So another point here is, speaking of distractions, they're moving military equipment all over the country. They're doing more air drills than many of us who monitor this have ever seen. They're drilling landing planes on highways, which you can guess why they would be landing military planes and C-130s on highways. That's kind of something you do when you don't have airfields to land on. How would that happen? It's kind of questionable there. Now, Dex, if you would like to go over the web-only content, we also have stuff that we are going to be hopefully putting out tomorrow or the next day. So please stay tuned to Marfoogle News, again, the main channel if you have not subscribed. And then make sure to go check out Twitter at Marfoogle. And then, of course, go check out through that. You should have links for all of this down right below in the show notes. Dex.
Yeah, so head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, and scroll down to that web-only content. Or if you're on YouTube, open the description and click on show notes. It's right there. The rest of the story, a lot of the stuff is too hot for TV, very sensitive topics, too far to one side, or they're those type of topics that just get everybody enraged on both sides. So we try not to necessarily cover that in the show. So that's where the stuff is. There is a ton of updates on what has been happening over with the Supreme Court, specifically, and the events that have been happening around their homes, around other locations, around other buildings. Tons of updates. You'll get all of that there. You definitely want to check out what's happening there. Some updates with some of the politicians and things that are going on. Even some of the crazy things that are going on, like leaked videos and other stuff. An organizer who spent $6 million on a mansion for fun actually came out and admitted that they lied about it. So you can find out who that is and what's going on there. That and so much more, including the comparison of the Ministry of Truth with a former agency. Go take a look at all of that and much more at marfooglenews.com. It is in the web-only content. There is a lot.
Yes, it starts with a K and ends with a GB. And that's a couple people I missed. Spartano Negative, thank you for your support. Thank you for sticking with us for a long time now. Survival Living, I did miss you, so I appreciate that. And I tried to make it to your live the other day, and I made it the last 2 minutes. Also, didn't know if other people were having a problem, but I could not super chat. So I don't know if you've heard of that before. And then East Tennessee Preparedness, thank you, and thank you. Hello, Adam Dex Mods, proud to be part of the Foogle fam. Irish USMC Vet, thank you again for your support. And then, of course, we had Meatball 007, thank you. JT, I appreciate it. Ilea, Above My Pay Grade, Zen1 AZ, Nana of Montana. Caddy Dickinson, unlike President B, said no to opening government lands to be farmed before the food shortage. Crazy stuff everywhere. Craig DeHunter, thank you. Bill Brown, I missed you. I apologize that. And thank you. Welcome again. Bible Talk 777. Elon is helping drive humanity off the cliff, all while he warns people we're heading off a cliff and we need to stop. What's funny is he says all this stuff about AI and all this, but he's helping design AI. He's helping design all this stuff. It is kind of crazy. I don't know. I always worry that if I tweet something that Elon Musk, now that he owns Twitter, he's going to see it and like shadow ban. He says he wants all his critics to, be just as loud as anybody, but it was weird. I was growing super big after he took over, and then I tweeted his stuff once, and then all of a sudden it stopped. And I always wonder, because he reads every tweet about himself. Crazy stuff. He's probably watching right now. Irish Rebel, thank you again. You don't have to do that. Thank you so much. I know that you have the ability to do that. That doesn't mean you have to, though. Thank you, Irish. I appreciate that. Blue Dazzlebug, I appreciate you. GeoHuff, thank you for the super sticker, and same with Blue Dazzlebug. GeoHuff, it's very nice having you here. Thank you for supporting Independent. Dex, pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. I noticed also on my Twitter that I had the same effect happen, and it wasn't just because I said anything about him. I just noticed, and it wasn't just me. I started to hear from others that they all feel like the shadow banning, if you want to call it that, has sort of come back. So I don't know if what we experienced was the influx of everybody returning, and it really wasn't that the shadow ban was turned off, or if it was turned off and then somehow got turned back on. But there are definitely some changes over there. Now, the interesting thing is he doesn't actually have control yet. So it's not like he can wave a magic wand himself and do anything, although he does obviously have the ear of the people that he's, going to be acquiring. So they could certainly do something if they tell him to, if they so choose. But yeah, I don't know. I can definitely feel it.
So I'm not alone on that, and it could very well be that influx of people coming back saying, "Hey, Twitter's owned by somebody that that might change things, right?" But it was just weird. I tweeted specifically about him, and here's the thing: I see him respond to the littlest people. There's people that have 3 followers, and I see him respond to, and I'm like, how did he see that? Right? There's so many people that follow him, and it's like he does care about everything that's said about him. Again, I just get that feeling like he's the kind of, if he was a YouTube creator, he'd be reading every single comment. Even if there was 10 million, he would sit there for 4 days reading them, which it's almost impossible at my size. I can't imagine if he had 90 million followers and everybody is tweeting. His last tweet had like 100,000 retweets. Do you realize how long it would take to look at every one of those? And I don't think, that's why there's a reason to think that he doesn't. But what if he does see it? Does he have an extra edit button on his? Because remember, he can't control it or anything. But you would think if you did work for Twitter, if you're high up, especially if you're, say, Jack Dorsey, right? Jack Dorsey, if I was Jack Dorsey, I would have set up a button where not only could I, block somebody, but I would make it so I don't see him at all anymore ever, right? You own the company. You can do whatever you want. I think he has like a secret button or something. You would think that they would have developer tools or something that they would be able to screw people up. I don't know. It's just it's crazy what is happening.
It's been proven they have that. Yeah, it's been leaked that they've had that for all of this. A lot of people have shown screenshots of those developer tools that they have. I just question whether or not he has it yet or has access to that yet, just because the transaction hasn't actually gone through. So it's not like he technically owns anything. But yeah, I totally get it. And
if somebody talks trash, they turn down the faucet.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
They can do that.
That's insane. Thank you. Over 4,500 showed up today. Thank you for anybody that is watching the replay. Thank you again to Kelly2334 who did a super thanks. Again, appreciate everybody that ends up doing that. We're still getting used to that. So if I did miss you, I apologize. Again, that is actually for the replay watchers. So it is cool that they added that finally. We were a year behind everybody else. K-Rec did a super thanks. Says, thanks, Marf and Dex. Been following for 4 years now. You both are great. Keep up on keeping on. Love you, Foogle fam. Zippy Moons, thank you. Irish Rebel, again, thank you for the super thanks. Nancy B. Wild, thank you for the super thanks on the last 48 hours. Sylvia Diaz, Zippy Moons, Kelly2334, 3 City Cats, and Diane Moses, Cat Robert, and Ray's Spirit in the last week did super thanks. So thank you. All right, guys. I love all you guys. Dex, I love you.
Much love, brother. Great show.
Make sure to thank your mods. All of them have channels. Make sure to go check them out. Bones, CJ Blaze, JStone78. You have Rip Curl. You have Lisa R. Hall. You have Ilea. You have Chance Paladin is a great author. You have Gem. You have all sorts of people down there. So make sure to go check out their channels. They're all creators themselves. Bones, of course, you have our family of Foogle family creators that have their own audiences as well, like Survival Living, Jacob Israel. Global Witness is a great guy inside and out. Again, some of these people that I name, if you don't agree with them, I would say at least understand that these are beautiful people as far as off camera. They're the same as they are on. So you may not agree with their politics or their religion, but again, it's hard to find good people that are really, that are actually who they say they are. Thank you so much. And by the way, if I missed somebody, I'm not saying they're not, but again, I think most of the people that are still around, that have been around for years, there's a reason why. So thank you so much. Love you guys. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. Welcome to Marfoogle News. Welcome to Marfoogle News. It's now time for the outro. It's not a shout out. It's not an outro. It's a shoutro. Welcome to Marfoogle News. I would rather go hitchhike than a sit ride with a government slides. Government slides. I would hitchhike than a sit ride with a government slide. Welcome to Marfoogle News. Welcome to Marfoogle News. Welcome to Marfoogle News. I would rather go hitchhike than a sit ride with a government slides. I would rather go hitchhike than a sit ride with a government slide. Bring it down with a big cloud. Everybody gonna bring it down. MC Dirty Work, global impact every way. Everybody got work. Hey, we BTP on the coffee and the COB with Stacy on the Barbie. Barbie on the grapes and beer. Rather go hitchhike than a sit ride with a government slides. All right, let's do a fresh one for Irish Rebel.